Welcome to Wednesday, January 6, 2021. Yes, folks, I know yesterday I said it was 2020 and I didn't want to scare people. No, 2020 is over. So I'll get the date right today. It's January 6, Wednesday, 2021. We have a nice break in the weather today. Another front comes on Thursday. It's the same old weather pattern. It's like Groundhog Day, the movie. We just keep repeating everything. We have another system coming in late Thursday into Friday. Similar results, mountain snow, a little snow on the plains, but it's going to take more of a northern track. We have a small system tracking through the region on Saturday. That's going to go more towards Utah and Colorado. So Colorado folks got a little bit of winter coming in for Saturday. We have a little bit of high pressure though for today, which is going to make today a really nice day for the most part, considering what we've been through. Long-term changes for North America are coming. We're very confident of that. Mid-January through the end of January is going to be a much different pattern for a lot of North America. But where will the biggest impacts be? Will they be here or will they be somewhere else? And that's the hard thing that we've got to figure out right now. There are big changes coming with the whole pattern across the Northern Hemisphere. In fact, that's happening now. It's just not here, but eventually it will get here and we'll talk about that. Today, here's that little sliver of high pressure that we have coming on in. Here's yesterday's storm system. That was yesterday's weather maker, but we've got a little high. So today we have a brief respite. Here you can see the next wave coming into the Pacific Northwest coast. That's going to rocket its way through Thursday into Thursday night, taking a track somewhat similar to the last one. And there it is. This is by noon tomorrow. So we're going to see snow return to the western mountains of Wyoming, Idaho, the Wasatch of Utah, the northern Wasatch. This system isn't as intense as this one was, but it will produce a little swath of light snow up here Thursday and Thursday night, another shot of snow in the mountains. You get south of I-70, though, it's really not going to be a weather maker. As we get into Saturday, this is Saturday, here we've got a little low coming into western Colorado. It's not a real strong system, but it is a system tracking a little more south and west. So this may be a decent snow producer in the mountains of Colorado as we get into Saturday, late Friday night and into Saturday. Then we've got another high pressure ridge that'll come in behind this guy here. That'll give us a little bit of a break. Now, once we get beyond Saturday, the weather forecast gets a little bit more muddled, but at the same time, we don't expect anything big. This is the snow forecast through Saturday. So you can see this is Thursday's system. The Dakotas, parts of Montana, parts of northern Wyoming right here are going to get a little bit of snow with that system. A little bit more snow is also going to come in along the I-80 corridor, not a lot, but a little bit of it as we work our way through the next 4 days, with the mountain areas again picking up the better moisture. You can see Colorado here with that system that comes in Friday night and Saturday is going to get a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of snow. We continue to be very dry in this part of the country here for a little bit longer. Now, as we get into early next week, we got a low right here. Now, this guy right here, he actually is not coming from the Pacific. This low is actually going to be dropping out of central Canada through the Dakotas and into the east slopes of the Rockies. This is going to be Monday and Tuesday. So we're going to see this system as not being a big producer of snow because the source region for the low is over the dry prairie provinces of Canada. So you're just not going to get a lot of weather out of this other than a little shot of colder air is going to come in early next week. So that'll keep our temperatures a bit chilly, but it doesn't have a source region of Arctic air with it either. After that time frame, we're going to see that system spin down into here, accelerate by Tuesday off to the east to the Great Lakes, and then high pressure move in behind it. So we'll probably start next week a little colder, a little unsettled, but still nothing really major. These are our temperatures for the last 90 days across the lower 48 states in Canada. Anywhere you see orange, temperatures have been above average for the last 3 months. White is average, blue is below average. And you can see almost all of the lower 48 states have had above average temperatures as well as many areas of Canada for the winter so far. Just a little colder than average in the high Rockies and the Pacific Northwest, but really except up here in Hudson Bay and up here, no one has really been very cold. Now this is something that we've talked about in other podcasts. La Niñas tend to make it more mild, as you have more of a Pacific influence and less of a Canadian influence. That's how the winter has gone so far. However, we're about ready to see that change to some extent with this pattern change here in the middle to the end of the month. If you want to know where the cold air is, it's over on the other side of the globe. Now, these are temperatures current across China, Asia, and up into Siberia. So here's India here, here's China here. In fact, Beijing could be down to the single digits to near zero today. So if you want to know where the cold is, and we just showed you this map here. Oh, it's warm. Well, it's not warm everywhere. And that's something to always remember about the weather and the climate. Where there's one extreme, the opposite extreme is happening somewhere else. So where is winter? Where's all the cold air? Well, you're looking at temperatures up here that are 40 to 50 degrees below zero in parts of northern areas of Siberia. Very, very, very cold in the Himalayas and the Mongolian plateau up here. You can see the really cold air is bottled up here. So this air is going to eventually come over the other side of the globe, heading this way in the longer term. But if you want to know where the harsh winter weather conditions are, that's where they are right now, and they're continuing to build, that cold air is. Now, long term, let's take a look at where we are 10 days from now. So the 15th and 16th of January, interesting pattern begins to unfold. High pressure begins to build up into the Gulf of Alaska and along the west coast. We have basically a polar vortex forming northwest and north of Hudson Bay, Canada. And we have the jet stream that is wanting to go up into Alaska and then take a dive south into the area. We've showed you a map like this a couple days ago and late last week. The door would open to Canada here, and it would open to much colder air beginning at the middle of the month for the lower 48 states. Between now and the middle of the month, there's really no indication of an Arctic outbreak. Now, the big question is where is all of the cold air going to go? Is it going to be directed more towards the Great Lakes in New England, more towards the Dakotas, or more towards the Rockies, or somewhere in between? And that's something that we've got to get a handle on, because you see this ridge of high pressure here in the Eastern Pacific? That is very well placed for the high plains and Rockies to get really cold and stormy during the second half of January. However, this high could also end up here. If it does, then all the bad weather ends up here. It stays just to our east. So it's one of those either or propositions that always makes long-range forecasting tricky. So you'll want to stay tuned to the podcast in the coming days, and we're going to watch this because our confidence for a mid-January change in the weather is high. It's just, where is it going to go? As we go out a little bit further, you can see that the trough begins to form in the west. The cold air is up here. The high pressure ridge stays along the west coast. When we see this pattern, a high here and a high here, that's cold, wintry weather for the central and western areas of the United States. But you shift that high here, you shift that high here a little more, and then all the bad weather ends up here. So those are the question marks we're looking at in the long term. Now, the long-range computer modeling is showing 11 to 15 days from now. So this takes us into that same time period I just showed you, the 17th to the 21st. What this is doing is this is the long-range GFS model predicting changes in snow cover, changes in how much the snow current levels will change. Look at all the blue. What the model is seeing, looking out during that time frame of the second half of January, is that Canada and the northern half of the U.S. gets cold and wintry, which, as we know, going back to this map, has not been the case so far this winter. That's why this mid-month change is something that could be of big importance. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have yourself a good